Presiding Officer, I declare I'm Honorary President, Scottish Association for Public Transport, Honorary Vice President for Rail Future UK. I listened with interest to George Adam on the subject of taxis. I recall 6 years ago when I was across giving evidence to the Irish Parliament's Rural Committee that I travelled back to the airport in a Nissan Leaf electric vehicle. And the driver told me that he could drive all around Dublin and do all his transport on a single charge. So the technology's been with us a while, and early adopters, he was actually given this taxi by Nissan to prove that it could do this. So he was really enthusiastic because he got the car for nothing. But it was a good example. It's worth saying that the Tory amendment talks about standards for charging, and I think that's a proper thing to engage. I just am very uncertain as to whether we're yet ready to set what the standard is. There's DC charging, there's AC charging. There's 9 different physical connections you can make in different charging points. We've got 150 kilowatt charging points are coming in this year. We've got 350 kilowatt charging points will come in about 1 year or 18 months. The standards are probably not stable enough for us to choose the winner. So I think we can set a way forward, however, because we can have standard of physical connection. That would be helpful. We could have standard over the logical messages that travel between the charging station and the vehicle that's being charged. And we could build into a standard future-proofing that means it will accommodate future changes. And I think it's time to do that. It's worth going back 100 years ago when electricity to domestic premises and industrial premises, there were no standards. Every electricity company had a different plug design. Some of them were DC, some of them were AC. They ran on different voltages. They ran to different fusing standards. Some of them had no fuses in their systems at all. So we're in that era that we now need to move out of. I suspect I don't have time. Do forgive me. Claudia Beamish talked about planning and domestic houses. I know that my colleague Richard Lyle for some time has been banging on about councils could do it now. Could make it a planning condition for new developments that they put in terminals, and I think that would be a good idea. Liam MacArthur, I hadn't realised Orkney had the greatest density of electric vehicles. I did look because of his amendment, and I saw there were 7 charging points in Kirkwall, so I was going to wind them up on that, but I now discover there's a perfectly good reason for that. I, of course, look forward to the Loganair Islanders becoming electric aircraft in about 3 years' time. The new Audi e-tron is 408 brake horsepower. The Islanders require 520 brake horsepower. So it's well within the compass of what is available and working now. And when you put electric engines in the Islanders, they will reduce the weight, so it'll be easier to fly. And by the way, the top speed of the Islanders is about the same as the new Audi, which has over 200-mile range. Now, a lot's happening in public transport. In the Central Belt, we've got new electric trains. Yesterday, my journey down to Parliament, I had an HST, loved it, down to Aberdeen on the Inverness to Aberdeen line. Still a classic one, not yet refurbished, but still super. A 170 down to Edinburgh, but a lot of those are HSTs, and a 385 here. The railways are absolutely super. They're not perfect everywhere, but my journeys, by goodness, I wouldn't go back 10 years for anything. Now, we're talking about ultra-low emission vehicles. Nobody's mentioned ferries. We've got the first electric ferries. I beg your pardon. I saw to the corner of my hand go up. Electric ferries, we're doing that. Well, nobody has mentioned electric bicycles because getting more people onto electric-assisted bicycles would help people's exercise, but also another way in which we might help things. I may say that, of course, getting involved in transport is a almost instinctive thing. My first motorised transport was my piler, otherwise known as a bogie or a cairtie, which we used to put the motor more in front of to tow us around the back garden. Amazing we didn't kill anybody with the blades going. This is an excellent debate. I look forward to my next vehicle being an electric one in about 2 years' time. I hope everybody else does the same.